Well, my name is Alfred Ogas. I graduated in 1965. I was raised or grew up in Silver City. Born here, grew up, went through the school system in Silver City, and the high school, Western High School, the first 3 years, which was part of the university, and then Western New Mexico for 3 years. I went out of the area to college my freshman year, and then I came back. One of the things that I really would like to mention was the fact that when I was going to school and starting down at the elementary and junior high level and the high school level, a lot of our teachers that we had in those lower levels were the teachers here at Western. Not really knowing what they were doing, we basically were in what they would call college prep classes now, not knowing it, because like I said, all of our professors were teachers here at professors here at Western, and we had them at Western High School the first 3 years. Some of them stayed over in 1960, 61 when the school was taken over by the city and became Silver High School. So I was basically in the first graduating class at Silver High School in 1961. I left for 1 year, went to University of Santa Fe, which was St. Michael's at the time, for my first year. Then I came back to Western and picked up my my BA in 1965. Started off as an accounting marketing major, and beginning my junior year I switched over to education, which I have no regrets. I really enjoyed education. I was in the school system, the El Rancho Unified School District in California, Pico Rivera, California, for 40 years. And basically that was interrupted by 2 years. Got drafted at the age of 24, went in the United States Army, came back 2 years later, and then continued, and I retired from the California school systems in 2004.
Wow.
2004.
Very cool. And then did you immediately come back here?
No, I retired 2004, moved to Prescott, Arizona for about 9-10 years, and came back. It'll be 2 years in a couple of months. Came home. I came home, and place I wanted to come back to, had always wanted to come back to Silver City, which I did, and I'm very happy now. Very involved with the Alumni Association. Reason I'm doing that is when we were going through school, we needed help. We couldn't afford going to school. Our parents could afford some little bit of tuition and those things, but we worked our way through, and we also had a lot of scholarship and grants. And we know now that about 80 to 85% of the students that are here at Western need help. And 6 years ago, I became very involved with the Alumni Association. We started a golf tournament to raise money for scholarships, and this last year we hit right close to the $100,000 mark of money that we have raised for student scholarships. So we're pretty happy with that, and happy to continue doing that. We also have a lot of ideas through the Alumni Association, trying to get students involved, trying to help them, get them involved in our programs to raise money and just work together as a joint group.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important that we, as alumni, reach out to the students and try to help them not only financially, but also we have alums all over the country that could possibly help some of these students get jobs in other parts of the country. So we're trying to start a mentor program. We're working on that very hard to start a mentor program and have contacts throughout the United States with some of our alumni. And say, if you have an example in your degree, if you want a job in, say, Chicago, we have people in Chicago that have graduated from Western who could possibly help you. So we're trying to start a mentor program this next year, and I've been talking to Tim about the possibility. Your associated student government president, I guess you call him, and he says they're very interested, so we can maybe partner up alums with some of the students you presently have on campus.
Wow, that's cool.
It's a good program. I think it'll be a good program, and we're excited about it. And I think the students that we've talked to are very excited about it too.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good for everybody.
Yeah.
And we want to help the kids. Basically, bottom line is that's what we're here for. Well, the one that I was really a member of was the Pi Gamma Mu, which is the National Social Studies Honor Society with Dr. Blaylock. She was a mentor. She was very, very good. She and Grace Nichols were the two of the teachers I really got help from, probably because I had them at Western High School, and they were also teaching here at Western New Mexico University. So it just transitioned over. They helped out, so I joined the National Social Studies Honor Society, Pi Gamma Mu, and then another organization that we started was the Newman Club. We went back to I think it was 61, 2 or 3 is when the Newman Club movement started getting going full blast, and the Newman Club was started during that time. So I think it's still at the same location where it was when we first started it back in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Didn't have the nice buildings that you have now. This library here, I remember coming up here probably as a 7th grader in Mrs. Olberg's English class, one of the university teachers also. She brought us up here, showed us the university. In those years, in order to find something, we had to learn how to use the index cards. I don't know if you still use index cards or if it's all computerized. But we learned how to use the index cards. She had us writing research papers back in the 7th grade. And the one little word that we all learned, and we'll never forget, is ibid. We'd use the same book for every report. We'd make ibid all the way down, as far as the footnotes are concerned. So we all got real good about using ibid. It was a kick. It was good, but we were getting a lot of good teaching down even at those levels. The library was not as big and nice as it is now. We used to come in and there was a room back here in the back where we used to read newspapers from other parts of the country. But the only thing we had here was the Silver City Daily Press or the El Paso Times. And in order to get something really good, we'd go back in that room and sit down and read the newspapers that were brought in from other parts of the country on these big long sticks, these things that you would fold over, and there you'd have the newspaper for the week. But that changed. The buildings on campus have changed. There is no longer a James Stadium where football was played, which was played in James Stadium. The baseball field, I understand now, is a girls' softball field. That used to be the men's baseball field. The grounds are starting to look real good. We had a small student union. Now you have a large student union that you can take advantage of. We had a small one. It was a round building down the street here, not too far from where we're located right now. Light Hall, my God. Those were classrooms in there. We had a lot of classes in Light Hall. In fact, when President Kennedy was shot, I was in a social studies class or a political science class at the time, sitting in there about 11 o'clock in the morning, something like that. I can't remember exact time. But when he was shot, the silence on this campus was amazing. It was just, everybody was in tears. We heard kids running down the hall. We didn't know what was going on. Finally, someone popped in and said, the president's been shot. And it was pretty traumatic when that happened. Facility-wise, the changes that I've seen are just beautiful, very, very nice. Campus living, about, I'd say an easy 50 to 60% of the students on campus that were attending school here were living on campus. Now I don't know what the percentage is of the number of students you have enrolled that live on campus. I don't think it's that high, but we had a lot of students that lived on campus. We didn't have the technology that you have now. Our classes, we had to go to school. We had to attend classes in the classroom, or else, we couldn't take a computer class online like you have now. And it was that one-to-one closeness you had with your professors and teachers were really good. In fact, I remember times when we needed some help, some of our classes, and we'd go to Mrs. Blaylock, we'd go to her house and have a little study session there, or Grace Nichols at her place. But the teachers here were very receptive to us getting additional help. They would give us help when we needed it. It was very close. It was very good.